Hello, welcome back to the PoddiMouths podcast. I am Peyton Cubic, and this is where my dad and his friend John talk about random stuff in life or the things they found on the internet. I hope you enjoy listening to this episode as much as I did. Here they are now.
I don't know what you're talking about. We never wing this.
We always do. I mean, never.
So it's funny you say that. I was talking, we were in a meeting yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a lot of meetings yesterday, but we were in a meeting yesterday and we started talking about this training webinar that one of my coworkers and I do monthly. Mm-hmm. And it's two webinars once a week or 1 week out of the entire month. And it's usually closer to the end of the month. But my boss, who you know very well, used to be the other person. But when he got promoted, then I got to fill in.
He stopped working.
For him. He stopped working. Exactly. Well, it's usually what happens. You get promoted and,
I'm out of here.
It's all about failing up. And that's kind of how I ended up in this position.
Anyway, falling up, but that's
falling
fine
up
too.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, since taking over, I had another coworker who my coworkers don't always jump on to watch it because it's the same old pretty much. It's us. They hear everything about 20 times before we actually record it. So anyway, one of my coworkers decided at one point to jump on one of the last ones, and we were actually joking about this podcast. We were talking about the PoddiMouths, and he's like, I got on there the other day, and I remember why we were talking about it, because he was wondering what this month, so September, he was wondering what this month's was going to be, because he didn't think we planned it. He's like, you guys probably haven't even discussed it. And we're like, no, we pretty much know, even maybe a couple months ahead of time, what we're going to be talking about. And he's like, really? It really doesn't. I don't mean this as a diss, but it really doesn't sound like it. You guys are just so natural.
That's awesome.
No, I don't. We don't plan PoddiMouths, but we do plan this webinar well in advance.
Well, let's see. Which one would you rather watch?
Right. It kind of makes me feel better, because if we can go and just basically wing PoddiMouths, and it looks like I'm winging that, then I obviously must be doing something right.
Let's go with that.
I'm going to go with that.
Answer.
I'm sticking with it.
That's awesome. Love that.
That's why they pay me the big bucks in both places.
It is why. You are a very wealthy man, and I just try to be nice to you. So
not rich, wealthy.
Be in your will.
There's a difference between rich and wealthy.
There's a big difference between rich and wealthy. I'd rather be wealthy.
I would too, but it wouldn't hurt to be rich.
No, I wouldn't be mad. I'm rich. I'm not wealthy.
Yeah. No, I don't want to be rich without being wealthy, but I definitely want to be wealthy. I'd rather be wealthy than rich if I had to.
I'm more differential, and I know everything we've talked about before. That's fair to say.
Yeah,
but
that's why people keep coming back.
I always use it as the comparison between a professional basketball player, for example, and the guy who owns the team, or the people who own it. Usually, the owners are the wealthy ones. Right. You might be rich because you're an excellent basketball player. Some people make the transition from rich to wealthy. Michael Jordan would be, oh my gosh. Well, and he recently sold just a part of his share of the podcast, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And
for over, I think it was it was $3 billion.
I want to say $3 billion, and he originally paid $400 million or $300 million or something.
Yeah. That's a little bit. That's a good return on investment.
Well, I'm not really a math whiz, but I know he's wealthy. And,
yes.
To say nothing of all his endorsements and all of that.
Right.
So good for him.
And he's going to that wealth thing. He's healthy. He's happy. He's like, is he remarried, or it's not recently remarried? But I'm
not sure. He's certainly not with the same wife that he was from the beginning, and. I did see a picture. We probably saw the same thing. A picture with his wife and him, and she's beautiful. And big surprise. Those wealthy guys usually.
Yes, 3 billion reasons for her to stick around.
Exactly. Well, I finally made it. I'm wealthy now. Hey, Melvina, would you Belvita. That's actually
Belvita
cracker thing. I love those.
Those are really good.
They are
especially
good.
Which
They're
one's the
chewy.
cinnamon? No, the
cinnamon. Yeah,
yeah.
like
It's not just cinnamon though. It's
no,
I don't know. Those are my
brown
favorite
sugar
ones.
and cinnamon or something like that.
Yeah. Anything with sugar in it, people
What
probably
makes
like
cinnamon better? Brown sugar. Wait.
Yeah,
What makes bacon better? Brown sugar.
brown sugar. What makes all
so
food
bad
better?
for you?
Bacon.
Well played. Who thinks we didn't plan this podcast?
Exactly. And that's going to be in the title. Bacon.
Well, duh.
And well, duh. It's bacon.
Always?
Well, duh.
Isn't bacon always in the title?
It should
well,
be.
we're going to have bacon. What else?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh my goodness. So I was traveling this past week.
Yeah, where'd you go?
Orlando. So I was near you, but I didn't invite you over because
because I won't make the drive. I love you, but I'm not going to make the dang drive.
I don't blame you. I don't like driving in Florida either. I'm surprised that you even leave your house half the time.
I like some of it. Yeah, me too. I like some of it, but Orlando, I just don't like traffic. It's not Orlando.
Yeah.
It's just that Orlando has the worst traffic. Tampa is terrible, but it's nothing compared to Orlando.
Yeah. People crossing 6 lanes without a blinker, just to cross them back. You think, maybe they have to turn. No, they're just weaving in and out of traffic.
Actually, part of the driver's test here.
Is it really?
Should know that. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
If you're I
didn't take my driver's test down there.
Yeah, but I mean, in fairness, Miami is terrible. I mean, we've done it's so weird to go to Key West, for example, or the Keys in general. We have to go, even though it's right along. To enter the Keys, it's over by Miami. But if you're going to go Key West, it's faster to hop on the ferry and go just straight south than it is to drive around by Miami.
Yeah, but is it as pretty and as fun? Once you get past Miami.
Once you get past Miami. When you're on the 2-lane road, the 7-mile bridge or all of those.
Right.
It's nice. Traffic, if there's an accident though, forget about it. It's not good.
Yeah.
But
that's where Waze comes in handy.
I can't think what it's called right now, but it doesn't matter. But the ferry that takes you from Fort Myers Beach down to Key West, 3 hours maybe.
Okay.
And it's fast. It goes 30 knots plus.
Wow.
So it really cooks for a big ferry. And it's a people ferry that I don't think they take any autos. But yeah, it's a much nicer drive because A, you're not driving, and B, you're not driving. So it's amazing. But if you don't have a car waiting, you have to Uber or something all around Key West, or walk, which is not bad either.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the traffic thing can be Miami. I've had 3-hour jams, traffic jams in Miami, and it's not
fun at all.
Something I'd like to do. So anyway, but it's the driving thing. So Orlando, forgive me. How did were you like by Disney? Were you
No, I never really got much farther. I think the furthest I got away was 16 miles from the airport. And that was, we were right by the airport the whole time. It was fly in, fly out. So not hard, but on the flight home, do what?
Orange Blossom Trail is where the airport is, close to the airport.
Okay. That was not where I was. I have no idea. I did see, I had a sighting when I went to my hotel because I stayed at an actual full service Marriott. Do you know who Dr. Drew Pinsky is?
I do.
Dr. Drew? Yeah. I was driving down and there he was on the side of the road just walking. He was out for a walk and was like just walking. No, just out for a walk. I mean, that man is buff now. I mean, he has gone from kind of a skinny dude to wow.
Oh, cool.
And that's technical term for buff.
Is he, could you tell, tall or short or?
Tall.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah, he's taller. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, unmistakable. It was like, you didn't look at him and go, that might be. No, it was, holy shit, that's Drew Pinsky.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And you know what? He seems like such a good guy anytime he's interviewed or on the air or whatever, he just seems like a decent guy.
Yeah. Yes, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was not
anymore.
part of the story, right? That was part of the story. Not part of the story. So I fly home and I'm flying, my favorite airline. which eventually will be. Seat was comfortable. I got on had plenty of space. That neither flight to Orlando or back to Nashville was full, so I didn't have someone sitting next to me, so that was great. But
are you, for a reason, not mentioning your favorite airline?
No, I just assumed that me saying that everyone would know exactly which one it was.
Say it.
Southwest.
Really?
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
It's not
I'm
your
being
favorite.
I'm being sarcastic.
I did not know you were being sarcastic.
When am I not sarcastic? Come on, John. You've known me for how many years?
Fair enough. And we did make a sarcasm joke. Remember when we put together the script for this one?
Yeah.
Did they have the new boarding process?
No, that's not going to start till next year.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. So now
I think I said it probably will, depending on what happens with their service and how they do everything. I reserve judgment for that particular point, but I have a feeling if not much else changes besides the fact that they have assigned seating, that will probably turn into my favorite airline. I won't deny it. They have the best customer service. The newer airplanes are very nice. There's plenty of leg room. I have no complaints other than the cattle call, other than choosing your own seat. I
honestly don't mind that much.
Yeah, but you always pay to be in A.
Always, absolutely.
Yeah. If you're not, I didn't want to spend the money. I'm in austerity mode.
It's not that expensive.
It's expensive enough that if I do it more than once or twice every few months, it adds up. We're talking each way was $65.
Oh, that is a lot. I don't remember it being that much, but
it's as low as 35. If it was 35, I probably would have.
Okay. All right.
But I didn't need it for these flights because they weren't full. So there's also, that because mostly I do that because I worry about overhead space.
Ding. That's my only concern. I don't really care if I'm toward the back of the plane, really. I mean,
I do, depending on
that big a deal.
When I'm coming home, I don't care because I'm not in a hurry. But when I'm trying to get somewhere, get to a meeting and stuff like that, I like to be up front because I can get off the airplane faster.
If there's a connection, yes.
Especially if there's a connection.
Almost never connect on Southwest.
No, and that's why
I take them.
Right, that's why I flew it this time because no other airline out of Nashville,
nobody else
had
is
a direct flight. Yeah,
and that's why we fly Allegiant most of the time.
Right.
So that's the big. It is and listeners, viewers, you should know if you think about connecting versus not connecting, you want to jump through as many hoops as you can not to connect.
Right. Unless your whole goal is to get the points.
Well, that's true
then
too.
You do want to connect.
That was going to be my accept because that's been both of us. You get the status and you want to keep the status, or you're not quite there, or whatever.
Exactly.
Or you're just treated better because of your status.
Yep.
There's something to be said about that too.
Yeah.
So,
well, then you don't have to pay for A.
Well, that's a big one. True. That's the other.
If you're on Southwest,
I automatically get bumped up to something.
Exactly.
Or I've got an exit row seat, which I'm fine with.
Yeah. On the way down, I had an extra. I had the 2-seat extra or exit row.
Oh, that's nice too.
The 2-seat one doesn't have as much leg room, but it's 2 seats, so no one's going to sit next to you because they don't want to sit next to the other guy's feet.
They might, but even if that's the case, you only got one jerk to deal with.
Exactly. And it's not like.
I mean, nice people when I say jerk.
Very nice people. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm flying home, and the whole point to this was a long way to get there, but but
it's great.
We have like 45 minutes to fill.
It's like we had a connection on our.
We did for a second. It only took 6 seasons.
I know. We just connected through DTW, so we're going to need to get back on track here. Okay, go ahead.
Have you, when you were a kid in the 80s, did you watch The Fall Guy?
Sure. Lee Majors.
The TV show? Yeah. Great show, right?
Yeah.
So they made a movie.
Yeah.
They made a movie. Recent movie.
Actually, I saw it.
Yeah.
I didn't see the movie. I saw that it was advertised.
Okay. All right. So I didn't hear great things about the movie. And that was one of my favorite TV shows growing up. So I was like, they're going to ruin it. If I'm not hearing good things about it and it's one of my old favorite shows, I just don't want to see it. And some movies like that, I definitely know that if I'm not going to like it, Jen and Peyton are probably not going to like it. So I saw it. It came up, and this is how recent it is. It's still not out on streaming, so you still have to pay to rent it unless you're on an airline. So
I thought I saw it on a streaming thing, but okay, never mind.
No, it's not. Okay. It's not out yet. So because I just looked it up because I actually enjoyed it. I watched it. I chose it, and I was sitting there because the flight is supposed to be an hour and 20 minutes, and the runtime of the movie was 2 hours, and I was really disappointed that I wasn't going to be able to finish the movie on the flight. But I'm like, that's probably perfect because I won't like it anyways. So what's the big deal? And I enjoyed it so much I didn't even realize that we were in the air for 3 hours because we were going around
weather
around storms. So I actually got to finish the whole thing, and I was sitting there giggling the entire time.
Really?
It was a fantastic movie. I would highly recommend The Fall Guy.
Well, that's good to hear.
It was really it was well done. It was very well done.
Did I talk to you about Twisters?
I think we talked a little bit about it. I still haven't seen it.
It was terrible.
I've heard great things about that.
My gosh, I just didn't like it. And maybe it was because
you want all of that. You want all the sex.
No, it was like they made kind of a bad copy of the first one.
Really? That's too bad.
Well, they had, goofy, weird people, also chasing storms and also cutting them off and running them off the road, and the girl interest and the love interest of both, they kind of got together, and that didn't really happen in the other one, but they just had this. It was just kind of a weird.
I heard that a lot of people liked it because, and that was kind of where I was going with that poorly timed phrase that I used, but it didn't have an agenda. And that's why a lot of people are giving it really good feedback because it didn't seem like it was just an action movie just for the sake of action. It wasn't, it didn't have any subtext. It didn't have any agenda.
Like
there was
climate change or something
exactly.
Like that? Yep. Oh, I see.
They stayed away from all of that.
Yeah, I guess I was too taken aback by the acting to notice. But I will stop. I won't. I mean, we watched it and it was fine. And I can tell you that a movie is horrible if Lisa will not go through the whole thing.
Really?
She'll just get quiet, and I can sense her looking at me, and I'm going, "You're not enjoying this, are you?" Because I can watch. If it's an action movie, I can suck it up through some bad acting. I don't really care if somebody's going to come in and groin kick somebody and break their nose with an elbow and then throat punch them. I don't really care if it's high quality acting.
Okay. Well, then I'm interested to see what you think of The Fall Guy, because I would say this one also, unless I completely missed the subtext, this movie didn't have subtext either.
You were on a plane. Were you drinking?
No.
Oh.
It was during the week. I don't drink during the week. The only time I drink is when I'm on the podcast.
We have to stop doing
excuse
so many
me. Yeah,
of these.
Excuse me.
I don't know. I'm worried about Nick's drinking. We're podcasting all the time.
I'm not worried about it.
No, I'm not worried. I'm worried that you might run out.
Exactly. We need to do more of these things.
Oh, and speaking of bourbon.
Yeah.
We're
okay. Vodka, but okay.
My buddy and he's become a good friend. He's from Canada and we have kind of connected anyway. Met him at church, but he's just a good dude. He said, well, bourbon, this is my kind of church. He said, I found this place that they've got everything. And I'm going, I've been to that liquor store, Carl, and I don't see it. Because I'm just not buying it. And I went in and he was right. They had everything.
Really?
I couldn't find, I went to Total Wine, massive place.
Yeah.
ABC Liquor down here, a massive place. Trying to find this Eagle Rare bourbon.
Uh-huh.
It's not, I don't mind paying a little bit more if it's something that's good like that, just to, enjoy it. I'm not going to hammer it because holy cats. I found it. He had it at this place. And I had not found it anyplace else. Reasonably priced. And then he said, I've got another Eagle Rare if you're interested. It's in its own display case. And it's
no.
I don't know, whatever the heck it is. It's 50 years old, and I don't know. It was $10,000. I said, what?
That's a fantastic deal. Did you pick up two?
How good is that going to be? Well, the payment. I just got the payment book.
Nice.
But he said, some guy, this is the owner, some guy offered me 8. I said, and you didn't take it? What the hell's the matter with you? He said, no, I'm holding out for 10. I said, oh, just so you know, get a good look at this face. Because if I ever come in here and order it, you need to throw me out right now because that check is not going to clear. Anyway, yeah, it was pretty funny.
At least we have goals, right?
That's
when
goals.
When the podcast hits it big.
Yes.
In another 6 years.
Yeah. Yes.
Then we'll go buy a couple of bottles of that.
No, we
and drink it on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, we're going to change from buy me a coffee to buy me some Eagle Rare. I think we'll try that.
50-year-old. Yeah,
that works. Well, we'll be another 50 years old too after that. So I always wanted to try one that was younger than me. So yeah. Anyway, but that was pretty funny. It was crazy. Here they are. Wow, they got great selection. So Eagle Rare.
Okay.
And I'm excited about that. Haven't tasted it yet. And he had what's the Buffalo Trace.
Nice
as well.
It's
in fact,
harder and harder
Eagle
to find.
Rare
Buffalo
is made
Trace.
by the same company.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I like Travelers, which is also made by the Buffalo Trace people.
I haven't had that. He had case, literally upon case of Buffalo Trace.
Really? Eric, did you hear that? We might need to go down and see John.
Multiple cases. And he said, I'm just having a hard time getting rid of it. So 2 bottles for $60.
Wow.
So I got 50 bottles, and I think I got a pretty good deal out of it. I don't know that.
Anyway. I have a liquor store here that has everything. It's a fantastic liquor store and reasonably priced. My favorite is on Friday. They have French Friday, and it's all the French wine at half price.
Oh, I thought French women.
No,
what you were.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm more interested in the wine when I go there. Hate to admit it.
Well, it depends who's serving it,
Right. Truth.
Mademoiselle, I would like to have your taste. Yeah, I don't know. You could try that
from French to German in like
it kind of did. I'm terrible at
accents.
I can do a crazy British guy like.
Well, anything that you do is crazy. So I would just.
I guess I
can do Minnesotan and I can do Southern, and that's about it.
Okay.
I can do PoddiMouths.
Southern Minnesota.
I've done that before. I can't do it right now. I can't do it on the spot. I have to be. There has to be some external. Something for.
We'll try
and
bring some external stimuli to help.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. The stimulus. More stimuli.
You're a stimulier.
I am a stimuli. Anyway, this liquor store normally has pretty much everything you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it even has my favorite brand of absinthe, which is really expensive. So, it's got everything. But the last time I went, I specifically wanted to go get Buffalo Trace, and they didn't have it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, do you have Travelers? Nope, we don't have any of that anymore.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah, they sold out of that.
And so the same thing, the other 2 stores that I mentioned, they're never going to be sponsors now that I threw down on them, but they also don't have Buffalo Trace, or at least if they do, it goes away just like that.
Well, I went to a different liquor store in Franklin, which is the opposite direction of this liquor store. And we went in there and I found Travelers, and there were only like 4 bottles. So I didn't buy multiple. I just bought one because I'm not going to, I don't usually.
Can I ask what it goes for a bottle?
It's not that expensive. I think it was like $40.
Okay, so it's kind of right in the middle range where a lot of the good ones are.
It's not horrible. So I go and I grab a bottle because a bottle of bourbon. I have multiple bottles of bourbon, so a bottle of bourbon will probably last me 3 or 4 months. Okay, it doesn't go quick. Yeah, it doesn't go quick.
If you got 50 of them, I can't.
Well, I usually have I seriously, I usually have 2 or 3, and I rotate between them depending on what they are. So I really don't drink that often.
It's just nice. It's a nice after dinner, something like that,
or before dinner for me.
Or
might as well get,
or in the middle of dinner, you have a big tall glass of it.
It saves a lot of money because if I'm hungry and I just have one, I'm already sloshed, so I don't need any more. After dinner, then I have to have like 2 or 3 to get the same feeling. It's a money-saving effort.
Wow. That's beautiful. I love your math.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Maths. So anyway, I buy a bottle or I go up and we buy a couple of other things while we're there. And I set the bottle on the counter, and then this guy comes in and asks the guy, "Do you have Travelers?" Remember, there were only 4 bottles.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, it's in the back over there." So this guy goes and gets the other 3 bottles and buys them.
Wow. Thank
So
goodness you got yours.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wow, he must have just stocked it too, because
wow.
Yeah. And that's all this guy came in and bought was the 3 Travelers, and then gets into his big lifted truck that doesn't have Williamson County plates on it. Yeah.
he obviously drove from Florida.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Those trucks are everywhere down here.
Yeah.
Jeez. So interesting though, and I guess we probably should have a talk with your liquor store owner or mine. Notice how I'm claiming him now.
Yeah.
I think his name is Ushti. And
I was going to say mine is I know, and I shit you not. His name is Patel.
First name?
No, last name is Patel.
Okay. Well, that's not uncommon ever.
That's my point.
I mean, anywhere in the world,
No.
especially even in the U.S. in particular these days, it's not uncommon at all, because it's the number one. It's Smith.
It's Smith in India.
In India. Yeah. And I don't know about Pakistan, but I suppose.
My point was, there are, I think, and I'm probably wrong, the way the law is set up in Tennessee is you can't own more than 1 or 2 liquor stores in the state, something like that. So, but most of the liquor stores are owned by the Patel family. It's one family, but it's different members that own the different liquor stores.
That's the thing that a lot of folks, Middle Easterners especially, seem to be very focused on, and that is and it's not always, I'm sure they wouldn't say it's always delightful, but oftentimes multiple families living in a house and multiple families involved in a business.
Yeah.
But that's kind of their legacy.
It is.
And how they care for their families long term or not.
And
I think that's great.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's something
I think it's a great idea.
I think that's something that we have lost over time. Jen and I often talk about buying a bigger house, not because we need a bigger house, because we don't. In fact, the house we live in is too big for us, even the 3 of us, or the 5 if you include puppies. But
Which
we've often said getting a bigger house and then having the in-laws move in. I mean, why not? And just doing a multi-generational house,
as long as I could get far enough away from them, that would be fine.
Well, they have their own. The bigger house means they have their own wing.
Yeah, in fact, they need to go outside to come to my side of the house.
That works. Yeah. Well, and I say the same thing for Peyton too. Housing for the younger folks is getting ridiculous, and it's going to be difficult for her to be able to afford to move out. So if we have to, I have no problem with her staying at home, but I don't want her in the home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean,
if you've never had kids, that makes perfect sense.
If I had an apartment above garage,
yes,
I would still make her pay rent. It wouldn't be a lot, but go have your apartment. You can do what you want. You pay rent, but you're still at home, basically.
Yeah.
I would have no problem with that. I actually probably would prefer that because, I'm a helicopter dad, but
yes, you are.
Yeah.
But that's not bad.
No, not in today's day and age. I don't think.
No, for sure.
You have
for
to.
sure.
I mean, I'm still more like my parents than most people are with their kids. I mean, I feel bad for Peyton sometimes because, it's, oh, you fell down, you scraped your knee? Good. Don't do that next time. But I'll watch you to make sure you don't do it again at the same time.
Bring her up, though. That's good.
Yeah.
She'll thank you for that one day.
Maybe.
Either
that she'll sue me.
Well, one of the two, but thank you.
Hopefully both.
It's about the same.
Yeah.
I think when I visited Portugal, I met this awesome guy. In fact, connected with him the other day on LinkedIn. So it was cool to see him still out there. And he hired me 25 years ago, probably, to go and speak to his industry group in Portugal. And it was really just because of one joke I told. And so
excuse me,
it was perfect. This joke got me a trip to Portugal, and it was paid in
Nice.
advance and everything. And so, yeah, it was kind of a nice gig. And one of the funniest experiences ever. I had translators who
Mhm.
were working with me, and they spoke wonderful English. And there were two of them, because when you have a presenter presenting, it is a lot of work to translate for an audience that doesn't
Oh, I
speak
bet.
English or
Yeah, I couldn't
speaks it as
imagine.
a distant third or fourth language. So it was fun to go through it, and really an interesting part of my professional life, because I had never had that before, and they were awesome. And I said, if I'm going too fast, I could see them. They were like in a booth in the back, and they would tag off. And so one would do it until he or she would get tired, and then tag off to the other one.
Nice.
And it was cool. But I said, if I go too fast, just wave at me and I'll slow down. And I purposely was a little slower than normal, and they kept up great. Long story less so. At the end, I finished with this joke that was why the guy brought me there in the first place, and it had a punchline, and you could see in the audience about half of the people had ear monitors like the UN, in their ears, and the other ones understood English well enough that they could. So I delivered the punchline, and the people who spoke English instantly got it, laughing and great. But the people with the earpieces, they weren't laughing. And I'm going, oh crap, did it not translate well or whatever? I look up the booth, and they're both laughing their butts off before they could deliver the punchline.
Nice.
It was one of the funniest times. The joke wasn't even that funny, but it was that particular time. It was great.
That's good.
So
That's
anyway,
really good.
But in Portugal, they have a lot of multi-generational families.
Yes.
And this guy took me to a friend's place, and 3 generations, maybe 4.
Wow.
In one house, but it was right on the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, wow.
So
but that's the other benefit.
Old house that's just amazing. Yeah.
If you've got more than just your immediate family, you can technically afford more.
Well, you can with them though, and with a lot, I would think there. It's been, that particular house has been in the family for
that too
100 plus years.
Sure.
And so, but interesting. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You can afford more, and that's especially for those people emigrating legally to the U.S. They can afford more if they come generationally.
And here I thought I was being political. But speaking of joke, I do think I was thinking about this while you were talking. I do need to explain the reason I mentioned the Patel with such emphasis.
Yeah.
It's actually a car business joke. For those of you who aren't in the car business that are listening to this, there are, like John said, Patel is Smith.
Yes.
It's just the Indian version of that name. But anytime you see a lead come in from a Patel in the car business, you pretty much just, I love working with most business people. Most Indian business people are great, but there's no mincing words. There's nothing. They just, they want to come in, they want to see the invoice, and they're going to offer you something below invoice, and you can take it or leave it. That's how they deal. So literally, if you see a lead come in from a Patel, you go into the back, you get a copy of the invoice, you bring it up front, you set an appointment, and you just sits there. And when they come in, say, here's the invoice. That's all. You don't try to sell them. They know exactly what they want. They know exactly what they're going to pay. And you got a deal. It's not going to be a great deal. You're going to get a mini on it, but it's a deal, right?
Years ago when I was on the sales floor, we were not, and the business in general was not as likely to show invoice. If they asked for it, we would just refuse to.
Absolutely.
And so would everybody else. So they were some of the best negotiators though.
Yes.
And it was fun and funny, to go through, oh no, there's no way. Oh, come on. And then they, it was just a fun back and forth. And I really did enjoy that, as long as it was not, nasty. And sometimes it would get nasty. And look, if they don't want to negotiate, great. Give me one shot. Give me your best price. I was happy to do that too.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that. But on the other hand, and then they say, oh no, you're way you're way too high. Could you cut it down any less? Well, no, you're not going to make a liar out of me.
Yeah.
You asked for my best price.
It's funny you say that. I remember this story of when I started with the job that I have, or at least with the company that I have now, the group. One of my mentors, who unfortunately doesn't work with us anymore, but still a friend, he said when he was in retail that he would go to the desk with somebody, and I'm going to butcher this story, so Mike, I apologize, but
I'll clean it up in editing.
Yeah, so he would go and he would look at somebody and they'd ask for the best price. And he said, so when I started in this business, I promised my wife that I would never lie to a customer. So I can either give you the best price and that's what you accept and not a penny more, or I can give you a higher price if your whole goal is to negotiate. And then we can negotiate down to my best price. Which would you rather have? And I'm like, that's pure genius, because it kind of goes along with what you're saying. I'm happy to negotiate, but I'm not going to go negotiate below my best price.
Yeah, wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't make any sense. I'd be a liar.
Yeah.
So I love that, because I think especially now you have quite a difference between people that are used to buying cars and have been buying cars for a long time. They want to still negotiate. Yeah. And you've got people that just don't want. I don't want to negotiate. You know, for me and any car dealers out there that are listening, which I know there are a few, if you want to sell me a car, you probably will make money, because I am not going to negotiate. Don't do that.
I don't begrudge that. It's
mean,
like saying, why, I go into a restaurant and if you don't give me the bare minimum deal on that really expensive steak, then forget, is that your best price? I'm going to go shop somewhere else. Well, that's not the point of any of it. No. So yeah, no,
for me, and best price is payment. And that's the other thing. A lot of people negotiate price, but at the end of the day, you're negotiating payment. You're not negotiating price. How many people really pay cash for a car?
Not many, but I am just blown away by some of the payments people have today.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away by it.
Yeah. I think I told you for my reasonably priced mid-size truck. This is the most I've ever paid for a car. Not paid for a car. Now, the Jeep is 20 grand more. Sticker price is 20 grand more than this truck, but I'm still paying more for the truck than I am for the Jeep.
Well, you're not leasing the truck.
I'm not. No, I am leasing the truck.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. If I bought it, it would have been $100 more a month.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
I just, it's such an interesting thing. I mean, when you talk about the scheme of things, it's one thing, but when you're a young family, we had, and I know it's different. I know it's different money factors these days, but I drove a dealership car most of the time, and so I didn't pay anything for it, with some exceptions, but not many. And if we had another car, it was a relatively low payment, and I would never finance more than 48 months at the most on anything else that we drove. But now there are families with $2,000 plus in monthly payments. And I'm like, dude, that's a mortgage.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying about the truck is it's the highest payment I have ever had for a car in my entire life. It's the highest payment. And it's still less than the average people are paying for their cars.
Yes. And the average is just crazy now.
Crazy. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But
and that's in the, we've talked about that, I think, but is it the 700 range?
It's less than that.
Oh, you mean the average?
The average? No, your average is in the mid sevens.
Yeah, 7 something.
Yeah. I think it's like 740 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheesh. That seems like a lot.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Our first house, the rent was not that high. I know. Wow. I'm just dating myself. Carbon dating myself.
I did have a house payment once that was only $500. That was awfully nice.
Well,
I actually
mine was rent. It wasn't an ownership payment, a mortgage. Yeah.
And that's the property hindsight's 2020, and I have had very, very good luck with my purchases in Nashville. I will admit that I have not lost money on any house that I've purchased in Nashville, which is fantastic. But I look back at some of it, especially with the market the way it is now, and I kick myself for making some of the decisions that I make. I mean, they're all we make the decisions for good reasons.
Sure.
But there's one we had. So Jen had a business before this, and this is probably, story that could be a whole podcast in and of itself. But basically it boiled down to the business didn't succeed and we went under, and it hurt us financially, but instead of getting in trouble, I'm going to put quotes in there, getting in trouble and losing stuff, we decided, okay, well, let's just sell and rebuild. So we sold the house, made some money on it, and we bought 6 acres in Dixon County, which is how we ended up in Dixon, Tennessee at one point. So we bought 6 acres. There was a little trailer on the property, so we moved into that.
You've talked about redoing that.
Yeah,
that whole thing again, just because. I mean, I don't blame you, because I would like to do that too.
Oh yeah, but it
as a second.
It was yeah. Exactly. That's the key right there. So anyway, it was this little old trailer was built in like 1990. So it was a piece of junk. It was horrible, and we called it the Icky House. But it was great property, and
that's endearing too.
Yeah. And
the Icky House. Yeah.
So we had it for a little over a year, and we had a little bit of a mortgage, which was the $500 a month, but it was only $500 a month for a year and a half. So 18 months.
Wow.
Just to pay it off. That's how we, so Jen couldn't take living there anymore. So she said, we either need to build now, because the plan was 2 years in the trailer, then we'd build a house on the property. And there were a few other factors, like I work in the internet and I didn't have internet out there. Because there was so I had satellite internet, but that was before Starlink, and it was really affordable. And we did have that, but it was not enough to really do my job effectively.
Yeah.
So, literally the same day that she said that, put her foot down saying, we got to do something now. She had gone to work and there was a knock on the door. And I answered, and it was this old guy saying, hey, I know the previous owner. I know this house was up for sale about a year ago, and my wife and I were renting down the road. That owner's about to sell. We're not going to let us rent again. I've got cash. Are you willing to sell?
Wow.
And I said, his name was Walter. I said, Walter, make me an offer. And I said, I know what you paid for it. I'll pay you that cash. I'm like, done. So we ended up buying a house in downtown Dixon, but which was a great move. It was a great house. We made money on the whole deal and stuff like that. But after all was said and done, but now I look back at that property and go, we want property so badly, and we had it. And not only that, when I actually sent the check to pay off everything, it was like 3 payments. I could have paid that off. I could have had that whole 6 acres paid off in like 3 months. It would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
And I look back and that's the closest I've ever been to having a paid off house.
Great property too.
It
property still today
oh yeah. The people that bought it built on it, and it's the nice big house, pool, all that stuff. So Walter bought it, lived there for a few years, but then he sold it to somebody who built. Because I think his wife unfortunately passed away, but he put up a whole new fence around it and all 6 acres and stuff. It was gorgeous. It had a little pond, and they made it look really, really nice.
Wow.
They actually paved the roads out to it now, because we didn't have a paved road.
Oh, sure.
But it's that was, I kick myself sometimes going, I could have had paid off property right now. That would have been a bigger deal, because now it's worth 3 times what it was.
Yep.
And I wouldn't have had a mortgage. Well, I probably would have, because I would have built a house, but you know what I mean?
It would have.
It would not have
had
been
a really nice trailer.
Right. Exactly.
And no wife.
And no wife. Exactly. Maybe I should read. No, I'm kidding, Jennifer.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's, and you look back and you kind of say, okay, with this hindsight, I can, it makes sense to have done this or that. And I don't know. it never is perfect. We had a really nice apartment back in '86 in Aurora, Colorado. Kind of glad we don't have that now.
Really? Yeah. Sarcasm?
Aurora. No, it was beautiful back then.
Oh, yeah.
'86, but not today.
Not anymore. No, Aurora. No.
Yeah.
But the fact that you had proper, I mean, even in a bad part of Colorado, you'd probably make some money on it now.
These apartments were amazing they were really nice. Nothing great. But I always remember go outside of the property and make a corner onto the main drag, and you've got the snow-capped mountains.
See?
It's such a nice view, you just can't replace that. But now I was watching high rises with Venezuelan view of Venezuela. I think you can
all the gangs. At least that's
yes. Different view
at gunpoint. But I was watching Lifestyle Overland before I came up here for the podcast, and they were traveling around Utah with the snow-capped everything, and I'm just like, man,
it's so pretty.
Jeez, I want to do that so badly.
Well, and we did it when we were young enough to enjoy it, and we did. We would zip up into the mountains on the weekends, and it was a half an hour drive, 40, and then we'd drive, Cripple Creek and all these other places up outside or to the west of Denver, and it's just amazing. It's just so pretty up there, and but then there's that thing, winter, that sneaks up on you, and
you say that like it's a bad
down the roads. They just close the gates and sorry,
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Jeep, it's mostly going to be fine unless it's 4 feet of snow. Which
sure.
I shouldn't have been in the Continental Divide when.
Yeah.
They had 4 feet.
Hopefully, you have enough supplies then. But
yes, hopefully, because you're going to need them.
It is what it is. You only live 3 or 4 times.
Yes, I'm really glad that you
my maths. It's my maths again.
Yes, you're good at the maths.
Oh my gosh, well, that's on fun. That note, folks, I think we've caused enough trouble today.
We have caused a little, but not a
we've come to the end of our script.
I don't know what else to say. It's going to be
well, I didn't add that to the script this time. That was last time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure our listeners and viewers thank you.
Oh, I'm sure they do. After that performance, John. Oh yeah. I'm getting a lot of I'm getting a lot of thank you notes.
I bet you are.
Anyway, speaking of thank you notes, we'd love for you to send us a few by heading up to the PoddiMouths.com website and checking out all of our merch up there. And you still can, as John mentioned, you still can buy us a coffee
or a bourbon.
If you feel like doing that, please.
We might be onto something there.
I should be. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button.
Smash it.
See? Smash it. Smash.
Do it like that.
Smash it. If you want to see some of our old episodes, look here. Or you can subscribe by pressing over here. I don't know where it is on the screen. It could be either way.
I don't know, but
I might be mirrored.
Whatever you do, don't
It's this box over here.
Just whatever you do,
have you actually watched? There. Have you watched to the end to see the boxes that I put up there? I put boxes up there.
Yes. No, I go 4 minutes in, and that's all I can stand.
That's pretty much. As long as you hit 4 minutes, I think we get credit for that. I don't know.
Good.
But I hope you all stick around for at least 48 minutes and 11 seconds, which is what the time code said when I looked down.
I want to get credit on our YouTube account.
Absolutely. That's how we build an audience and start getting monetized.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Pretty soon I'm going to have to bleep out all the bad words, though, if we ever get monetized.
That's true.
We can't talk about anything, that I
it's
almost
nothing but bleeps the whole way through.
A lot of bleeps, a lot of bleeps, a lot of bloops.
Yeah. A lot of bloops for sure.
All right. Anyway, you guys have a great week. We'll see you again next week.
See ya.